The devils are some of the most powerful creatures in the world of Black Clover, and in practically every single arc of the story, the main villain is either a devil host, or someone who has been manipulated by a devil. In this video, I will break down every known devil in the Black Clover story, including their epic powers and abilities, and I will explain why these devils are such a crucial part of the series. I've made content on devils in Black Clover before, but this video will update everything we know as of the final arc of the story, so let's get into it. You guys know the drill. If you enjoy my Black Clover videos and you want to see more in the future, leave a quick like and comment right now for that YouTube algorithm. And if you want to help this channel attain Wizard King level by hitting 2 million subscribers, please subscribe right now. Subscribing on YouTube is completely free and every single subscription counts. Finally, this video will contain Black Clover manga spoilers. All the information in the Black Clover manga regarding devils is fair game, so please proceed with caution, you have been warned. The devils are an ancient race of powerful magical creatures that reside in the underworld. Most of them appear to be cruel and malevolent by nature, and they take pleasure in torturing other devils who are seen as beneath them, as well as toying with humans and other creatures whenever they get the chance. However, they don't get to toy with humans often because devils are unable to leave the underworld and enter the human world on their own. Most of the time when a devil manifests inside the human world, it is because a human mage used forbidden magic and a sacrificial ritual in order to summon a devil and form a contract with them in exchange for access to some of the devil's powers. The gate between the human world and the underworld normally prevents all devils from physically climbing up to the human world, but the gate is designed to repel creatures who possess magic. In the rare instance that a devil without any magical powers appears, he will be able to pass through the gate easily. In order for a devil to use or possess a grimoire, it has to be a 5-leaf grimoire, and the only way for devils to unleash their full powers outside the underworld is to find a 5-leaf grimoire and find a way to fully manifest their physical body into the human world. Due to the unique nature of devil mana, many forms of human magic have little to no effect on devils. In order for a human mage to fight a devil effectively, they need to possess arcane stage magic, saint stage magic, or the magic of other devils. And of course, anti-magic is highly effective against devils, which is good news for our boy Asta. The core of a devil's body is its heart, and as long as the heart is not destroyed, the devil will be able to regenerate itself even if most of its body is destroyed. There is a hierarchy among the devils that can be divided into 4 tiers. At the bottom we have low-ranking devils, then mid-ranking devils, then high-ranking devils, and finally highest-ranking devils, which are also known as supreme devils in the Viz translation. In this video, we will be covering every known Supreme Devil, as well as every lower-ranked devil that plays a significant role in the story. We will not be covering nameless, low-ranked devil NPCs. First up, we have Zagred, the main villain of the entire Elf saga. Zagred is a high-ranking devil who has been alive for over 500 years. He is extremely powerful and has a massive amount of mana, but he is not one of the Supreme Devils. He is one rank below that. Zagred was the one who orchestrated the Elf Massacre. Basically, just before the Elf Massacre, Zagred possessed the body of one of Clover Kingdom's ministers, and he manipulated the humans of the Clover Kingdom to betray the elves and attack them during Licht and Tetia's wedding ceremony. Practically the entire elf tribe was killed, Tetia was seriously injured, and Licht became overwhelmed by despair, which transformed his 4-leaf grimoire into a 5-leaf grimoire. Zagred then tried to take control of Licht's overpowered and mana-loved body, but despite drowning in despair, Licht resisted. With the help of the magic stones, Licht transformed into a giant demon, and this prevented Zagred from being able to possess his body. Zagred also tried to take control of Licht's 5-leaf grimoire, but Zagred used her sealing magic along with the magic stones to seal Zagred away inside an eternal prison. But before the seal could be completed, Zagred was able to summon the magic stones himself, and he used them to make sure that the souls of the murdered elves would be reincarnated in the future. This reincarnation finally takes place 5 centuries later, and Zagred eventually manipulates the reincarnated elves into opening the Shadow Palace. Zagred is then able to summon his original body up from the underworld, and this sets the stage for the final showdown of the Elf Saga. Zagred uses Kotodama magic, also known as word soul magic, which is a type of magic that allows him to alter physical reality with his words. He can manifest swords, monsters, and many other magical and non-magical weapons by simply mentioning them verbally. And he can also manipulate a wide variety of objects and living beings at will. Because he is such a powerful devil, most magic attributes from this world have little to no effect on him, with some exceptions including Yami's dark magic and Asta's anti-magic. Zagred is eventually taken down by a brilliant team effort that really showcases how teamwork plays an important role in Black Clover. Asta, Yami, and a bunch of other powerful warriors, including the first Wizard King and Licht, all have to work together in order to finally destroy Zagred. Next up, let's talk about Liebe, the devil who resides inside Asta's 5-leaf grimoire and who possesses the rare power known as anti-magic. Liebe was born inside the underworld, and allegedly he was one of the lowest ranked devils. He was born without any magic, just like Asta, and this is an almost unheard of occurrence in the underworld. Due to his lack of magic, the other devils mocked and bullied him, and he was often a victim of physical attacks. One day he was actually thrown up into the gate that separates the underworld from the human world by one of the other devils. The devil who threw Liebe was expecting him to smash into the gate and die, but instead of smashing into it, Liebe passed through the gate and ended up inside the human world. As I said earlier, the gate that separates the underworld from the human world was specifically designed to stop any being with magic from passing through. So because Liebe had no magic, he was able to just pass through without problems. Since the other devils all had magic, none of them could follow Liebe into the human world, and so he was finally free from the bullying of the other devils. Although, being a devil in the human world came with its own set of unique challenges. The devils who live inside the underworld fantasize about finding a human host and entering the human world through that host because the underworld is dull and boring, but the human world is a lot more fun and interesting to them. They want to have fun with humans, manipulate them, toy with them, and cause havoc and chaos everywhere they go. But Liebe was different. As a devil with no magic, he was nothing but a punching bag for the other devils, and so he never had any desire to become a bully himself by attacking or manipulating humans. Nevertheless, even though Liebe didn't mean any harm to humans, every human who saw him in the human world was scared of him because of everything they had known about other devils. So the humans immediately assumed that Liebe had to be dangerous and evil like his devil brethren, and they summoned magic knights to hunt Liebe down and kill him. Liebe was forced to go on the run from the magic knights who were trying to hunt him down, and eventually he collapsed from exhaustion deep inside a forest in the middle of nowhere. Liebe thought that the humans would catch up to him and kill him while he was unconscious, but to his surprise, when he woke up he found that a human woman named Lichita had taken him into her home and was nursing him back to health. Liebe was distrustful at first, but eventually he and Lichita began to bond, and Lichita ultimately decided to adopt Liebe and raise him as her own son. This human woman was also an outcast from human society, just like Liebe was an outcast from devil society. She was born with a unique magical body that steals magic and life force from every living creature around her. She is unable to turn this power off, and as a result she was shunned from human society. Nobody wants their life force or magic to be drained, so Lichita had to live far away from everyone else. Otherwise, she would be perceived as a threat and probably attacked by the other humans. But Liebe wasn't negatively affected by Lichita's ability. As a devil who doesn't have any magic, he was able to be close to Lichita without suffering any negative consequences. In time, Lichita and Liebe became like mother and son. It is eventually revealed that, in the past, Lichita was forced to give up her own son, presumably to protect him from the negative effects of her magic, and that son was none other than Asta himself. Lichita was the one who gave Asta up at the orphanage. She didn't do it because she didn't want him, she did it in order to protect him from her own life force draining magic. It's interesting that after giving Asta up, Lichita ended up raising Asta's future devil, Liebe. So the two of them actually share the same mother. Lichita is Asta's biological mother, and Liebe's adoptive mother. Lichita and Liebe lived humble but heartwarming lives out there in the middle of nowhere. They minded their own business and they didn't bother anyone, they just lived happily together as mother and son. Unfortunately, their happiness wouldn't last, because one day a supreme devil by the name of Lucifero discovered that Liebe is a devil who has been able to live inside the human world without a human host. Lucifero decided that he would take over Liebe's body and use Liebe as his host within the human world. Presumably, having a devil host inside the human world would make a devil like Lucifero even more powerful than if he just had a normal human host. Lucifero attempted to take over Liebe's body by force, but Lichita was able to stop him. Unfortunately, Lichita was no match for someone like Lucifero, so in the process of saving her son, she ended up sacrificing her own life. Lichita was able to use her absorption magic to absorb a portion of Lucifero's mana, and this forced Lucifero to disappear before more of his mana could be absorbed. But before he disappeared, he managed to give Lichita a fatal injury. Although she managed to save Liebe, Lichita was dying. Fully aware that her time was running out, Lichita used her other ability, the ability to seal anything without magic inside an inanimate object, to seal Liebe inside a 5-leaf grimoire that she had in her possession. This is how Liebe ended up inside that 5-leaf grimoire. Lichita knew that once he was sealed inside the grimoire, he would be safe from future attacks by Lucifero. And since she would no longer be around to help him, Lichita thought that this was the only way to protect her son. Having sealed Liebe inside the 5-leaf grimoire, Lichita passed away, and Liebe spent years trapped inside. He slowly grew older and stronger, but he also spent all of his time inside the grimoire plotting revenge against Lucifero and all the other devils. The devils had been tormenting him for his entire life. They took everything from him, they killed his mother, and now they were going to pay. For some reason, Liebe's unique anti-magic abilities began to manifest while he was stuck inside the grimoire. It's important to note that he never had the ability to use anti-magic before he entered the grimoire. He was simply a magicless devil with no special powers or abilities. We don't know exactly why anti-magic began manifesting while Liebe was trapped inside the grimoire. It might have been something as simple as he was a late bloomer and anti-magic was a latent ability that he was always going to manifest. Or the manifestation of anti-magic could have been the result of Lichita's absorption magic mixing with the small amount of Lucifero's mana that she was able to absorb before she died. Maybe anti-magic is actually the combination of Lichita's absorption magic and Lucifero's gravity magic reacting with each other after they were sealed away inside the 5-leaf grimoire. This is just a theory, there is no confirmation for how or why anti-magic actually came into being, but it's interesting to think about. After the 5-leaf grimoire chose Asta as its user, Liebe's initial plan was to take control of Asta's body by force and use it to get revenge on Lucifero and the other devils. But eventually, Asta and Liebe decided to work together as equals because Liebe realized that Asta was not his rival. In fact, Asta was his long-lost adoptive brother. And not only did they share the same mother, but they also share a common enemy, Lucifero and the devils. And since Lucifero played such an important role in Liebe's backstory, it makes sense to talk about him next. As I mentioned earlier, Lucifero is one of the highest ranking devils, also known as a supreme devil, and he resides at the very lowest level of the underworld. Around the time that he failed to take over Liebe's body, Lucifero made a contract with a human host by the name of Dante Zagred. The 3 Zagred siblings that we meet initially make up the Dark Triad. They are all devil hosts, and they used their devil magic to overthrow the ruling house of the Spade Kingdom, House Grinberial, and to take power for themselves. We eventually learn that there is a 4th Zagred sibling, and he makes the first 3 siblings look like petulant children, but more on him later. Chapter 286 reveals that the underworld is ruled by 3 devils. One uses time magic, the other uses spatial magic, and the third uses gravity magic. Lucifero is one of these 3 rulers of the underworld, and he is of course the one who uses gravity magic. As the name suggests, gravity magic allows the user to manipulate gravity in a wide variety of ways. He's able to severely increase the gravity in a particular area in an instant, forcing even the strongest mages to fall to the ground due to the enormous pull of his gravity magic. He can even use gravity to warp physical space in order to avoid attacks or destroy the magic of his opponents. And his gravity magic can even affect intangible concepts, such as dreams. Lucifero has been referred to as the King of Devils, and the strongest devil connected to the Tree of Qliphoth. And yes, his power is impressive. Even as an incomplete manifestation with only half of his power available, he was able to stand against many of the Clover Kingdom's strongest magic knights on his own. He is incredibly strong, fast, durable, and difficult to fight. That said, Many Black Clover fans were disappointed with how Lucifero ultimately went out. He was built up as a possible candidate for the final villain in the entire series, especially since he had a history with Asta's mother and Liebe, and since he was billed as one of the 3 rulers of the underworld and the strongest Qliphoth devil. However, his partial manifestation, which had 50% of his full power, was ultimately defeated by the teamwork of Asta, Juno, and a bunch of the strongest Magic Knight captains. His heart was then taken by another devil named Adaramelech and delivered to the 4th Zagred's sibling, Lucius Zagredus. Later on, Lucius traveled to the lowest level of the underworld, defeated the other half of Lucifero that was still stuck down there, and took the heart of this second half as well. So, Lucifero ultimately failed to live up to expectations. He most certainly wasn't the final villain. In fact, he got completely outmaneuvered and humiliated by the final villain, someone whom Lucifero would have looked down upon as a mere human. And that's the other disappointing thing about Lucifero. He was an extremely one-dimensional villain, and his entire personality was that he believed himself to be a superior being, and that he looked down upon everyone who was weaker than him, including lower-ranked devils and all humans. This led him to underestimate his opponents, and ultimately it led to Lucifero becoming just a tool for Lucius, who was able to absorb Lucifero's heart and his gravity magic along with it. Now, since I briefly mentioned Adaramelech as the devil who took Lucifero's heart and delivered it to Lucius in the human world, let's talk about this mysterious devil right now. Adaramelech is also a supreme devil connected to the Tree of Qliphoth, although he seems to reside on the 2nd level of the underworld rather than on the lowest level like Lucifero. The interesting thing about this devil is that he is not like the majority of the other devils that we met in the story. Rather than looking down on humans and wanting to destroy them all for fun, when he emerges from the underworld, he actually warns the humans that they are in danger and that they need to run away from Lucifero if they want to survive. Even crazier is the fact that Adaramelech directly defies Lucifero's orders. When Lucifero commands Adaramelech to help him fight the humans, he refuses the order and continues to just watch the fight without intervening. This is highly unusual because Lucifero is regarded as the king of the devils and one of the rulers of the underworld. He certainly does have the authority to command someone like Adaramelech, and yet Adaramelech still disobeys the order without a second thought. When the humans eventually win the battle against all odds, Adaramelech applauds them for their accomplishment, and he then proceeds to take Lucifero's heart. Lucifero's heart is what Adaramelech was after all along, and he eventually travels to the Wizard King's office inside the Clover Kingdom capital in order to deliver the heart directly to Lucius Zagredus. Adaramelech does seem to be loyal to Lucius for whatever reason, because under Lucius's command, he was sent out on a mission to act as a diversion along with a bunch of other devil NPCs. However, even then, Adaramelech seems to have avoided fighting the humans, and he was said to be only evading attacks. He also looked like he was bored throughout the entire mission, proving once again that he doesn't seem to have any violent inclinations towards humans. Most of the other devils would have loved an opportunity to go out and kill a bunch of humans for fun, but for whatever reason, Adaramelech is different. So yeah, this is a really strange one, and I personally can't wait to find out more about this devil in particular. We still don't know his backstory, his true intentions, or his magic abilities, but clearly Tabata introduced him into the story for a reason, so I'm sure that more will be revealed about Adaramelech before the story ends. Speaking of devils who don't mean harm to humans, let's talk about the 4 mid-ranked devils who made a contract with Nacht, the vice captain of the Black Bulls. As mid-ranking devils, these 4 are not among the weakest devils, but they are also nowhere near the supreme devils when it comes to power. As a member of the noble Faust family, which had been secretly studying devils and forbidden magic for generations, Nacht was able to gain access to these 4 devils at a very young age, and due to his exceptional talent for devil magic, he was able to make contracts with all 4 of them. Each devil has a chibi form as a devil familiar, and a larger form which is based on an animal. The 4 devils include Gimodello, whose appearance is based on a dog and whose unite mode with Nacht is called Canis. When in Canis mode, Nacht can use an ability called Peck, which allows him to basically generate a bunch of shadow clones. Then we have Slotos, whose appearance is based on a horse and whose unite mode with Nacht is called Ekus. This mode functions like a powerful shadow armor that makes Nacht tougher and more resilient. It is an excellent defensive technique that allows Noct to withstand a lot more damage than he can normally sustain. In addition, Noct can use Unite Mode Canis ex Ecus to assimilate both Gimodelo and Slotos into his body at the same time, using shadow magic. This allegedly allows the devils to raise their magic up to the rank of a Supreme Devil. Next up we have Plumede, whose appearance is based on a cat and whose Unite Mode with Noct is called Felis. This mode allows Noct to use incredible speed and agility in order to run circles around his opponents. Noct can use Unite Mode Canis ex Felis to assimilate both Gimodelo and Plumede at the same time. Finally, we have Walgren, whose appearance is based on a rooster and whose Unite Mode with Noct is called Galus. This mode allows Noct to unleash a loud cry that has the power to paralyze his opponents. Noct is able to use Unite Mode Galus ex Felis to assimilate both Wagner and Plumede at the same time. It is important to note that while Noct believes that combining two mid-ranked devils like Wagner and Plumede allows him to wield the power of a Supreme Devil, that doesn't necessarily mean that he can actually defeat a Supreme Devil in this state. Some Supreme Devils are of course stronger than others, and when Noct tries to fight the Supreme Devils Lilith and Nama in his Galus ex Felis form, he is soundly defeated by their Devil Ice and Devil Fire magic. Thankfully, Noct was able to buy enough time for Asta to arrive and back him up. Speaking of Lilith and Nama, let's talk about these two Supreme Devils next. The two of them appear to be twins, with Lilith having the appearance of a woman and Nama having the appearance of a man. They were both released into the human world from the top level of the underworld. Lilith possesses Devil Ice magic and Nama possesses Devil Fire magic. These are not normal forms of fire and ice magic. Rather, they are special and overpowered devil versions of these magic attributes, and they are able to freeze and burn everything. Not only can they burn and freeze physical matter, but they can even burn and freeze things without any physical substance, such as light, shadows, and darkness. Lilith and Nama both appear to be complete psychos who love toying with weaker creatures, including humans. They entertain themselves by overpowering and tormenting other life forms. Because these two devils reside on the top level of the underworld, just like Liebe once did, and because they each possess one oversized arm, some believe that the devil who threw Liebe into the human world was one of these two Supreme Devils. After Asta manages to slash through Nama's body with the Demon Slayer sword, Lilith proceeds to fuse her own body with Nama's, creating a fused final form. This fused devil has the ability to use both Devil Ice and Devil Fire magic, and he can also combine the two magic attributes at will. He is also much stronger and has much more magic power than the sum of Lilith and Nama's powers when they are separated into distinct entities. Basically, this fusion doesn't just create a devil whose power is equal to the sum of Lilith and Nama, rather, the fused devil is exponentially stronger than Lilith and Nama were. But thanks to some creative teamwork from Noct and Devil Union Asta, the heroes are able to deal with this monstrous fused devil form. Now let's talk about another Supreme Devil who is considered to be one of the three rulers of the underworld, along with Lucifero. The name of this devil is Beelzebub, and his magic allows him to manipulate the fabric of space itself. In short, he possesses an overpowered form of spatial magic, and when we first meet this devil, his human host is Xenon Zogradis. Beelzebub resides on the lowest level of the underworld along with Lucifero and the third ruler, but I'll talk more about the third ruler in a little bit. Unfortunately, we don't know anything about Beelzebub's personality because he only appears in the story as a source of power being used by a devil host. Initially his host is Xenon, but after Lucius Zogradis takes control of the Supreme Devils in the underworld, Beelzebub is purified and incarnated inside of Paladin Lily, allowing Lily to use powerful spatial magic. Beelzebub is named after a demon who exists in various religious traditions and mythologies of our own world, and he is often referred to as the Lord of the Flies. However, the Beelzebub from Black Clover doesn't really seem to have anything in common with the Beelzebub from our own world, other than the name. But what about that mysterious third ruler of the underworld? Well, during the course of the Black Clover story, the third ruler of the underworld is the Supreme Devil Megicula, a devil who possesses powerful curse-warding magic and who was initially introduced to the story through its human host, Vanica Zogradis. Megicula is extremely interested in humans. That is to say, she is extremely interested in experimenting on humans in order to determine what effects her curse-warding magic will have on a wide variety of human bodies. She doesn't actually value human lives or anything, she just enjoys toying with humans and experimenting on them, but she has no qualms about killing a human once she loses interest in them. That said, Megicula is fascinated by unique types of magic, such as arcane stage magic and elemental spirit magic. Many years ago, Gordon's family made a contract with Megicula in order to conduct research on curses, so she has been getting involved in human affairs beyond just her host, Vanica. In fact, Megicula is believed to have been interfering with the human world since ancient times, and all curse magic in the world is said to have come from her. Megicula is the one who cursed Noel's mother Asier Silva, as well as Princess Loropechka from the Heart Kingdom. Megicula's curse magic is so powerful that it can take down arcane mages, and it can even affect elemental spirits. Her curses are extremely effective in harming her opponents and weakening their spells. On top of curse magic, Megicula is also able to use blood magic and steel magic because she had control of Vanica and Asier's souls. Or at least she did before Lucius kind of turned the tables on all the devils. The interesting thing about Megicula is that she was referred to as the third ruler of the underworld along with Lucifero and Beelzebub, which kind of makes sense because the three rulers of the underworld chose the three members of the Dark Triad as their hosts. Nevertheless, originally the three rulers of the underworld were Lucifero, who possesses gravity magic, Beelzebub, who possesses spatial magic, and Astaroth, who possesses time magic. At some point, Astaroth mysteriously disappeared from the lowest level of the underworld, and Megicula is just a replacement for him. She is not one of the three original rulers of the underworld, she's like a substitute. But before we talk about Astaroth, let us first cover Lucifugus, another supreme devil who has a long and dark history with the Faust family, of which Nacht and his brother Morgan are members. Years ago, the Faust family believed that Nacht was talented enough to bind Lucifugus because he had already been able to bind 4 lesser devils on his own. Morgan tried to stop his brother from attempting something so dangerous, but Nacht refused to listen, and he summoned the supreme devil Lucifugus. But Nacht's attempts to suppress and bind the supreme devil were useless, and Lucifugus proceeded to kill everyone present at the ritual, including every member of the Faust family. The only one who survives in the end is Nacht himself because Morgan sacrificed his own life in order to stop the ritual and send Lucifugus back into the underworld. And so Morgan dies, but Nacht survives, leading Nacht to feel guilty for the rest of his life. If he had only listened to Morgan, then Morgan would still be alive. But because Nacht didn't listen, Morgan died. Unfortunately, we don't know anything about Lucifugus beyond this. We don't even know what his magic attribute is. Another supreme devil that we know very little about is Baal, who was incarnated by Lucius into the body of Damnatio Kira during the final arc. Baal possesses air magic, which allows him to manipulate the air and create nearly unbreakable invisible barriers. Finally, let's talk about the time magic devil Astaroth, the mysterious third ruler of the underworld who somehow disappeared from the lowest level and then was replaced by Megicula. In chapter 333, we learned that Astaroth had been successfully bound to the 4th Zagred sibling, Lucius, who was born with 2 souls inside of one body. Somehow, Astaroth made a contract with both Lucius and Julius, allowing both of them to use time magic. But while that itself could make sense, what doesn't make sense is the fact that we never actually get to see Astaroth in any way. Despite the fact that he has a human host, Lucius/Julius, and despite the fact that his time magic has been used by them, we never even see so much as a silhouette of Astaroth. Since we know that Astaroth is one of the 3 rulers of the underworld, you would think that he would have a pretty big personality, and that he would want to engage with the human world in the same way that so many other supreme devils do. And yet, Tabata has chosen to keep everything about Astaroth a mystery, including his appearance, his personality, and how he became bound to Lucius/Julius in the first place. Since the truth about Astaroth remains a giant mystery as of the making of this video, I can't provide any more definitive answers at this time. But there are some interesting theories out there about Astaroth's true identity and why Tabata is still keeping everything about him a secret. Some believe that Astaroth is Asta's father. No normal human could be with Lichita because of her dangerous absorption magic, so Asta's father could be something other than human. He could be a devil, And maybe this combination of devil and human genetics is what led to the genetic anomaly that left Asta as the only human born without any magic. There is also the theory that Julius took Astaroth's magic and then separated the devil's soul into two parts. These two parts of his soul were then reincarnated as Asta and Liebe, a human born without magic and a devil born without magic. They were both born without magic because they are the reincarnations of a devil whose magic was stolen by Julius/Lucius, and since he no longer possesses any magic, neither do his two reincarnations. And the theories only get crazier from there, but I'm sure that by the end of the Black Clover story, we will finally find out the truth about Astaroth and about Asta's father. Those are literally the two greatest unsolved mysteries that still remain in the series. Now tell me this. Who is your favorite devil in Black Clover? And what is your favorite devil magic attribute in the series? Let me know down below. If you're looking for another epic Black Clover video to watch next, check out my theory video on why Asta and Liebe could be two halves of the time devil Astaroth. Link on screen and in the description. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more Black Clover content in the future, leave a quick like to let me know. And if you want to help us become an Arcane Stage anime channel by hitting 2 million subscribers, please subscribe right now. Subscribing on YouTube is completely free and every subscription counts.